Okay, all right, folks, we have got a real treat coming up. Major General Patrick Brady is our guest speaker for this meeting, and as most, if not all of you know, General Brady is also a recipient of the Medal of Honor. He flew Dustoff in Vietnam. He wrote a book about that called Dead Men Flying. And it is an excellent book, by the way. I read it years ago. I'm reading it again now. And it's really an enjoyable book. One of the things that he does in that book in great detail is to extol the virtues of Major Charles Kelly, and Major Kelly's son is sitting in on the meeting with us today. These two, General Brady and Major Kelly, who was killed in action in Vietnam, are two of the paragons of the Dustoff community. And those of us that were on the ground or in the air, I guess, you know what a wonderful group of people those Dustoff pilots were. You know, I've never heard a bad word said about them. So with that, General Kelly, you've got it, sir.
General Kelly, General Brady.
Or General Brady, I'm sorry.
I am General Brady, and it's always good to be with you. Can you all hear me? I don't know if I'm muted or unmuted or whatever.
We can hear you, yes, sir.
Just great to be with Vietnam veterans. Yesterday was Memorial Day, of course, and this last year was really a tough year for some of us because you mentioned the Dustoff cruise. I lost 3 or 4 of my crew members last year, and the situation was all Dustoff people. You couldn't say goodbye to them. You couldn't talk to them. You couldn't visit them in the hospital. It was just a mess. And before I get into this, we hoped last year to go to Vietnam and place a marker on the spot where Charles Kelly was killed. I went into that area just a short time after he was killed, and we've located it and we got the coordinates, and we were working on a trip there. Talked to some people at Marble Mountain about making a monument and had a guy to do it. And that bullshit came out about COVID. And so that was the end of that. But we haven't given up on it. So all you guys keep that in mind. We can't do it on 1 July like we wanted to. That was the day he was killed. So we'll see how it goes in the next year or so. But we're going to do it. We're going to go to Vietnam and we're going to plant a memorial on the spot where he was killed. His death probably saved more lives than any battlefield death in the history of the whole deal. And I've got, you mentioned books. There's the book that tells the story of Charles Kelly. Okay, now I know that this organization and I think most Vietnam veterans are united in an effort to tell the truth about the warriors of that war and to denounce the media narrative and the likes of people like Ken Burns and the documentary that they produce. But I think it's even more important than that. It's coming around now. I would urge all of you to add another mission to your lives, and that is to counter the socialist trends infecting our culture and the destruction of our history. Socialism is the frosting on the communist cake. That's it, simple. It's just a lead-in. Now, many of us have seen the horrors of communism up close and personal. I saw it in Berlin. I was there when they built the wall and shot their own people off the wall. We saw it in Vietnam, where they massacred village chiefs in front of their children and children in front of the chiefs. Korea and the DMZ, which I managed for a couple of years, and I saw the end of it kind of in Russia too. So it's evil. We should fight it with every breath in our body as veterans. And as veterans, we are the best witnesses against this horror. We have seen it throughout the world, up close and personal. Many of the people in America have no idea about it. So in our communities, in our schools, and in our leadership positions that many of you have in your communities, speak out about this. History is not there for us to like or dislike. It's there for us to learn from.
Right.
So if we see things we don't like, all the better to help us learn. No one owns our history. It belongs to all of us. They have no right to erase it, destroy it, break the statues, none of that stuff. So the 1619 project's a case in point. It's crazy. So then there's the critical race theory, the lie that we are a racist country. Only a racist, someone who has that in their heart could call someone else, some other person a racist. How the hell do they know what a racist is if they don't have it in their own friggin' heart? It's the ultimate hate crime, and it's purely political. Parties need that vote, and that's why they do it. Now, some of you may have heard of the Flag Officers for America and the letter that we put out. Amazingly, it got a lot of coverage, but it was only flag officers. So there's another organization. It's called the ACRU, American Constitutional Rights Union. They got a website. They want to pick up the ball and respond to all those non-flag people. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, I'm sure some of you know who he is, really great patriotic guy. He's on the board, and he's drafted a letter similar to the flag officers letter, which the ACRU plans to send out and get signatures from non-flag people who responded as well as others. So it's a follow-up to that thing, which got an amazing amount of coverage. I was very surprised about the coverage we got. I heard from people all over the country because I signed on to it. So you guys be aware of that, and if you want to participate, look into it. Now there's another organization, it's called Veterans in Defense of Liberty. We got all these Vietnam veteran organizations. You just wonder if they ever coordinate with each other, or if they join together to do good things for this country. You sure as hell should be doing that. But the Veterans in Defense of Liberty, it's under a guy named Scott McGill, going to have a big event in Perryville, Missouri on 17 September. I'll be there. Now, it's a bunch of bikers, and those of you who are stupid enough to ride a bike should take a look at it and see if you want to participate. Warrior's Journey is another group of veterans helping veterans and their families. They've got what they call a Heroes Honor Festival on Memorial Day 2020. That's May 27th, 28th, and 9th, and they're going to have it at the Daytona Speedway. Should be a massive number of people there. The whole idea is to honor Vietnam veterans. They asked me to join their brainstorming session in Dallas a while ago, and the whole thing began with "at long last." Now, I got after them about this business of making us out to be victims. We don't want to play that to that narrative. We are not victims. And so they changed the title, as I said, to Heroes Honor Festival. And that's what's going to happen in Daytona. And they expect thousands and thousands of people to show up for that. Now, there's another video. It's called Through Our Eyes. And it's a video done by Coster Films, well worth watching. Jim Dixon, is he part of this outfit? Dixon, he's aware of this. I put him in contact with the person who made the film. And I'm not sure if it's available yet, but it will be. And I would like for all of you to watch it, and it'll give you a complete, and give Americans who watch it a complete different perspective of the Vietnam War. I don't know if you all know this, but Vietnam may be the only war in which there were no Congressional Gold Medals awarded. They just approved one for Merrill's Marauders, and they did one recently for Philippines, all World War II. They have them for fighter pilots, they have them for everything. They have nothing for the Vietnam veteran. Now, we've had a bill in Congress for about 5 years. Senator Cornyn came here to San Antonio to kick it off. And it's in every Congress, they have to start all over again. So it's right now in the House, 2281, Senate's going to follow. So you might jack up your congressman, see if we can get this done. Say the word bias to these jerks. Just say bias or prejudice against a Vietnam veteran or something. They'll jump through their butt probably. But we need to get it done. And so that's it. So we'll open it up for questions if you got anything you want to ask me.
Thank you, sir. I do have one question, at least to get it started. There is a movie that has come out recently called Through Our Own Eyes.
That's what I just said.
Yes, sir. Can you comment some more on that?
Well, it's as I said, it's through our eyes. It's done by Coster Films.
Right.
Well worth watching. He let me see a preview of it. It's not public yet. Coster did. I worked with him on it on some film, not this one. But Jim Dixon, who I think is a member of this organization, I told him about it. He should be aware of it. And there's a website. I just don't know if we can all watch it yet.
Well, yeah, and sir, Jim Dixon has talked to Fred Coster and have connected with me with him, and I've talked to Fred several times and was able to watch it. It's still not released yet. Apparently, it's being there's a lot of, speaking of prejudice, there's a lot of prejudice even in the especially in the industry about releasing that film. So he's fighting an uphill battle to be able to release the film itself. So it's an excellent film, and Jim was right and you were right about how well done it is. But right now, I'm still waiting on Fred to figure out a way we can actually distribute it for people to see it. He still wants people to see it only one-on-one. He'll send out an invitation for someone if they, to see it for a special link like he did for you, sir. But right now, that's where it stands.
Okay, well, you should see it, guys. We should. And if you have any influence with anybody about getting it released, we should do that too, because it is very well done.
Yeah, General
Alan Gravel. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, this is Jim Dixon. I don't know if you can hear me, General Brady.
I got you.
Well, I want to thank you for introducing us to Fred Costner. He's a very impressive individual. A lot of people aren't really aware of what the film's about. Allow me to briefly mention it. It's an effort to get the truth out about the war from the perspective of South Vietnamese who live in this country, who are very disturbed about what's being taught in our schools today about the war. So that was really the thought behind it. Now, when I spoke with Fred last week, he still was not at liberty to discuss the investigation that's ongoing about all the threats that have been made against him and his staff members, but he was hoping to be able to call me this week with an update on it. He plans to make the film available to the public for free as soon as these investigations are cleared up. I can think of several suspects or candidates for the threats, but in today's world, there's no telling who it is. But I thank you very much for it. I think it's a wonderful film, and all of us that are in the years we have left who are devoted to trying to get the truth out about the war, this is a significant contribution to that effort.
Brady, this is Alan Gravel. I ordered 2 DVDs of this off of Coster's website, and they were supposed to have shipped somewhere around the middle of May. I got a notice from email that the shipment was not going to be made, and that hopefully it would be made at a later date, that because of reasons that were not under their control or whatever, that the DVD could not be produced.
You can watch it. If I've got the website right in front of me, but I just don't know. He told me, and it was very clearly marked on the video when I watched it, that this is not for distribution. Just about every clip on the film had those words on it. So
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, but he has to, apparently, because I had to, the link he sent me expired. I had to ask for another extension on the link. The link, the website, you can see the trailer, but you cannot, last I checked, which is several times, you can't actually see the film itself unless he sends you a link. So.
Or they're really working to stop this, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah.
I have seen the movie, and it is an excellent movie, and the things that happened after April the 30th in Vietnam were horrible. They were horrible, and there still are people who were ARVN soldiers or were teachers or were, any of the usual suspects. Some of those folks have spent years in quote unquote re-education camps. And the other thing that I enjoyed about the movie that I thought was interesting about the movie was that they showed John Kerry and Jane Fonda and some of the things that they said and did. And then they also discussed what went on in Congress during that time, and it's disgraceful. That's the best term I can think of. It just makes me sick to think that our country did what it did.
Yeah, it is. I think in my book, I mentioned that somewhere near the Vietnam Wall, we should have a wall of shame, and they should put on that plaque or whatever, the name of every congressman that voted to deny those people the arms and logistics that they needed to fight after we left them. Because that's what beat them. We just abandoned them. And if you can believe this, had a peace treaty with the enemy in South Vietnam, for God's sakes. It was a disaster, and they should have their names right next to the Vietnam Wall on a plaque. Every friggin' communist or congressman that voted for that bill that denied those people the means to protect themselves.
I agree, sir.
Amen to that.
Any other questions for General Kelly? General Brady, geez, I'm sorry, sir. I owe you 25 push-ups.
A mind is a terrible thing, Skip.
I know it is. I know it is. Getting old is not for sissies.
Skip, I have one other thing to mention to General Brady.
Yes, sir.
Charles Kelly Jr. is on the call here today. And at the induction ceremony where his father, Major Kelly, was inducted to the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame, during that ceremony, which Charles Kelly Jr. attended, he mentioned to me that he would like to make the trip to Vietnam if there ever is a memorial dedication at the location where his father was killed. So I just wanted to make sure that General Brady was aware that Charles Kelly Jr. has interest in going with him on that trip.
Yeah, that was always part of our plan, but I did not want to alert him until we were really firm about everything. We, of course, when the virus came around, that just kind of ruined everything we were doing. But no, that certainly we want to make him a part of the trip for sure.
Can I ask General where or who is trying to stop the distribution of the film from our eyes?
I don't know. This is the first time I've heard they were trying to stop it. But I know that he's been very, very cautious in who he shows it to. He showed it to me to get my opinion on it. But he said, don't release this link to anyone else. And then I told Jim Dixon about it. And then they got together. So I don't know who's trying to stop it. But it's
probably YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah.
I think Ken Burns has friends in high places. And they're just, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I have pretty much thrown out everything that I've got or that I had that Ken Burns has done, to include the Civil War and baseball and a number of other things, because I know personally what he did on the Vietnam War, and I wasn't there in the Civil War. I don't know about that, but he probably lied about that as much as he did about the Vietnam War. So his creds are zero with me.
He has no credibility at all.
Yep.
So, Bruce, I wish I could answer the question, because I really need to, maybe Fred could share this a little bit better, but one of the things he did tell me specifically was they were planning on releasing it on Amazon Prime, and Amazon said that they are not doing any more documentaries, as if, That's what he said. That's what they told him.
That's a lot of bull. They're running documentaries every single day on Amazon. And if they say that they're not, they're lying through their teeth.
LGBT documentaries are every day almost.
Yeah.
One other question. I understand that that they have located one of the helicopters from the 57th, and that there is some discussion about trying to bring that aircraft to Johns Creek, Georgia. We have a replica of the Vietnam Wall there, which is going to be dedicated. In fact, Johns Creek was where Major Kelly was inducted into the Georgia Veterans Hall of Fame, Georgia Veterans Hall of Fame. I wonder, General Brady, would you be
Yeah,
participating in that?
I was involved in that some time ago. That's not his helicopter, sir.
No, I understand. It was in the unit.
I've got the tail number of Charles Kelly's helicopter, and you can follow the history of it. I don't even think it's a 57th helicopter. If you look at the tail number, the first two numbers will give you pretty much the year.
Yes, sir.
And I forget what those numbers are on that, 87 or some crazy number that they got on it, but it's not a 57th helicopter, certainly not Kelly's helicopter. So, but if they want to present it as a replica or whatever and repaint the numbers or as a representation, I don't know. But it's not, they initially, the way it was presented to me, they presented it as his helicopter, which was just not right.
Skip?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm involved in that, and I've been working with that, and I think it's going to happen. Another thing, congressman from that area that had citations prepared for the 4 inductees from his division, from his precinct, they flew 4 flags over the Capitol during that period, and they've mailed the flags to me, and we're going to display them during that dedication later this summer, which I thought was a nice gesture on his part.
Yeah. Thanks, Marilyn.
By the way, you guys might want to know that Major Kelly was inducted into the Georgia Military Hall of Fame partly because Craig Honneman wanted to do that. He was ill at the time, so Marilyn took that ball and ran with it and took care of all the application, the paperwork, followed through on it, and she deserves a big Bravo Zulu for her work on getting Major Kelly honored.
I can't believe it took that long.
It took about a year, didn't it, Marilyn?
I think the general thinks it shouldn't have taken that long to nominate him. Is that correct, sir?
That's right. It should.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, it's 50 years or more. These people need to wake up.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Any other questions for General Brady?
I think part of the problem with Major Kelly is that a lot of people didn't know he was a Georgia native. And so to get him into the Georgia Military Hall of Fame, he had to be from Georgia. He's from Columbus. Right,
What is the name of the film so we can watch for it?
Through Our Eyes.
Got it.
Yeah, Through Our Eyes, and then there's a colon, Vietnam War.
I'm just wondering if the Vietnamese could release it.
Which I wouldn't hold my breath if the country of Vietnam, you mean. I don't think they would. It's not very kind to them. The people that are here, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure what how capable they would be of doing something like that. But
I was pleased to see that the Vietnamese American community, which is we're connected with here in Atlanta, was mentioned a couple of times on recognition of part of the contribution of production of that film, including specifically Tramaine Yun Nguyen, who's president of the whole organization.
Thanks, John. General Brady, thank you, sir. Do you have any closing remarks?
No, it's a pleasure. I would just emphasize though, because veterans are very often leaders in their communities. They go out to the schools. They're very active in their obligations of being a citizen of this country. And so I hope you guys are out and about opposing these crazy things that's going on in our country today, and give our kids a chance to learn the truth about not only Vietnam, but about where we came from and what we're all about.
Yes, sir. I agree.
I have one question before he leaves, please.
Yes, sir.
General Brady, you've been outspoken for many years on many topics, and thank you for that. I'm sure you've come under a lot of pressure from different angles and different people. But I think you have a blog site. Is that correct, sir?
Pardon me?
Do you have a blog site that you write regularly?
I write for WorldNet Daily. In fact, I wrote a Memorial Day piece for WorldNet Daily yesterday that they published, but I don't know what you just said.
Well, that's all I wanted to know exactly with that. But could you address any changes that are currently going on with the way the Army handles Dustoff now as compared to Dustoff in Vietnam?
The way the Army handles Dustoff
Now,
Dustoff what?
Dustoff currently, Dustoff now, as opposed to how.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wrote a story on that for the Legion magazine some time ago, and they have completely distorted the whole concept of Dustoff. Rather than an area support resource, they made it a direct support resource, and they have people who shouldn't be making decisions about when to fly and where to fly, making those kind of decisions. So initially they had a 2-hour golden hour, and now the Secretary of Defense actually got into it and they went back to the golden hour, 1 hour. But no, they made a mess out of it, and it showed. I walked into a USO place in an airport one time, and somebody said, "This is General Brady, he was a Dustoff pilot," and I had a guy turn his back on me. And it turned out that they couldn't get the damn aircraft there in time to save his buddy, and his buddy died because they were going through a rigmarole of deciding all the crap that should be decided by the pilot on the ground, who's right there and can see the weather and the enemy. It was a mess for a long time, and but there's nothing to compare it to because they're just not suffering any casualties. You know, we carried in our unit in 9.5 months with 6 aircraft, we carried 21,000 patients. They haven't lost that many people in any war since then, in any war altogether. So the resource has not really been tested, but the resource has been distorted. It's not as good as it was once. And I've written about it extensively and talked to Chief of Staff of the Army and anybody I can get to listen to me, that you need to put it back the way it was in Vietnam, where the medical people control the medical resource, the way it was since the Civil War up until just recently. So no, it's not an effective resource, but the demand on it is not like it was in Vietnam either.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Okay. General Brady, thank you so much for joining us today and for being the patriot that you are. And I think we will take your advice to heart. I know most of us preach to our kids and to the people that we get the chance to talk to about the evils of communism and what it is, and it just breaks my heart to see what they're doing in my country, and it's just awful. But okay, thank you again, sir.
Pleasure being with you guys.
Thank you.